Welcome to China Events, I am Jason. Just 2 days ago, the French president, who was attending a conference in Belgium, returned home in an emergency because of the mass riots in the country. After that, France immediately took suppression action. Tens of thousands of law enforcement officers rushed to all over France. However, such measures still failed to quell the riots. In such a situation, the French government decided to take a serious action. It is reported that a French police officer shot at the driver of a car when he stopped the car, eventually leading to the death of the 17-year-old North African teenager driving the car. The incident was followed by riots in Paris and other parts of France. Although France has deployed a large police force to respond, the scale of the riots is growing and the consequences are becoming more serious. Just 2 days ago, Macron immediately launched a response plan upon his return to the country, and a total of 45,000 police officers were mobilized to respond to the riots across France. Subsequently, 8,000 of those police officers went to the Paris region to respond to protesters who were a threat to the French capital. At the same time, businesses across France have put up iron fences in front of their stores to prevent rioters from looting their stores. Just the day before, a large number of French stores were looted and a car was driven away from a car store by rioters. Obviously, the rioters' several days of rioting activities have seriously threatened the normal economic and social order of France. Seeing these circumstances, the French government finally couldn't resist and had to take a hard hand on the rioters. The French justice minister warned that the violence set off by the rioters is not allowed, and France decided to arrest the rioters as soon as possible, which also includes underage rioters. It is worth mentioning that the French justice minister pointed out that the parents of the underage rioters will also face criminal charges because they failed to fulfill their responsibilities. Apparently, this is the French guilt by association. Such an action may cause discontent among French residents, who may accuse Macron's government of abusing judicial power and implicating unrelated citizens in criminal activities. Obviously, such discontent would have a negative impact on Macron. Previously, Macron's government has been protested several times because of various issues, and even Macron has been attacked by public opinion several times. We should know that the teenager who was shot dead was called Nail M. He was a descendant of immigrants of Algerian and Moroccan origin. He was shot in the head at close range by police after he refused to get out of his car to be checked for traffic violations and tried to run away from the car. This incident immediately sparked anger and resentment among the minority communities in France, who saw it as a manifestation of racism and discrimination against them by the police, and a reflection of their exclusion and oppression by French society. In fact, France has the largest immigrant population in Europe, most of whom come from Africa and North Africa. These immigrants and their descendants often live in slums on the outskirts of cities and face high unemployment, low education levels, high crime rates, and low social status. They are often subjected to discrimination and violence by the French police and white society, and feel marginalized and isolated. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights has called on France to address the deep-seated racism and discrimination in police enforcement. We should know that French immigration policy has been a highly controversial topic. On the one hand, the French government needs to bring in more immigrants in order to deal with the aging population, labor shortage, and economic growth. On the other hand, the French government has to face the antipathy and resistance of the native white society to immigrants, as well as the cultural conflicts, security threats, and social burdens brought by immigrants. The French government has been wavering in this regard and does not have a clear and effective immigration policy. This has led to a split in French society into two camps, one that supports law and order, and one that views the police as racists who mistreat minorities. The left wing calls for justice for Nel and harshly criticizes the government and police for their incompetence and injustice. The right wing claims to restore law and order and accuses Macron's government of being weak in maintaining law and order. This division is not only reflected in politics, but also in society, where trust and solidarity among the French is weakening, and there are even concerns about the safety of France's nuclear arsenal. Finally, we should be aware that the white left mentality in France has been a far-reaching factor. The white left refers to those who excessively cater to and defend the interests of groups such as minorities, immigrants, and refugees, while ignoring or sacrificing the interests of native white society. They tend to advocate ideas such as multiculturalism, political correctness, human rights supremacy, and liberalism, and oppose ideas such as nationalism, conservatism, and traditional culture. They have great influence in the French media, education, and culture, and have shaped the international image of France. However, the white left ideology has also brought many negative consequences. They have overly condoned and encouraged the maladjustment and non-integration of ethnic minorities and immigrants, leading to the division and antagonism of French society. They have excessively criticized and discredited French history and culture, leading to the inferiority and loss of French people. They have excessively interfered in and blamed French politics and diplomacy, leading to France's isolation and vulnerability. They have overindulged and supported riots and violence in France, leading to chaos and crisis in France. In addition, the French riots are related to various factors such as rising prices and racial discrimination. The reason why this shooting touched the sensitive nerves of a part of the French people is that those who were shot were teenagers of North African origin. North African origin and teenagers, these two labels are already enough to ignite the anger of the French people. In addition, the measures taken by the French government over the past year or so have not been able to solve a series of problems such as rising prices and inflation, which have led to great pressure on French families to survive. These problems have not been properly solved, the future of this beautiful scenery will only be more and more